I'm going to do something a little bit different in this video than what I typically do. I thought it could be fun to kind of, instead of give an entire video talking about Kyle Hamilton, which I will do at some point, I'm just going to talk about my initial first reactions to Kyle Hamilton. I have not watched all of Kyle Hamilton's college film. In fact, I've watched hardly any of it. I've only watched one game. But that's kind of the fun of this video, is you can see where I'm at now with him, and also we'll be able to compare this with when I watch his entire film, how I feel about him after watching all of his film. I did something somewhat similar with Mac Jones, not exactly, but back when I was trying to make the Twitch live stream a thing, I watched some tape. I initially started watching Mac Jones tape that way, and I was initially not that impressed, but grew to, he eventually became one of my favorite prospects. So we'll see if that happens the same way with Kyle Hamilton, because my initial reaction to Kyle Hamilton was not great. So here we go. This is a great example of kind of what I saw right off the bat that just got me a little bit concerned with Hamilton. So this is against the game versus Cincinnati. What you're going to see is that Hamilton is the deep safety on this play. And quite frankly, when I saw him as a free safety, it often did not go well. This concept is kind of designed to really just pay attention to what Hamilton is doing on this play. For Desmond Ridder, the quarterback, his read is if Hamilton stays deep, you throw over the middle. If Hamilton goes over the middle, you throw deep. However, as you see right when this play begins, what you notice is that a couple of things. So the player over the middle is wide open, and that's not all Hamilton's fault. Typically, you would want help over the middle. There isn't any help over the middle, so that you can't put all of that on Hamilton. Hamilton reads this and wants to get into the play, but he's just kind of reading it a little late. He backpedaled a lot before seeing this, and at this point, if he does run in and try and make a play, there's no way he can get there in time, really. So if Hamilton just stayed too far deep, I wouldn't really put that too much against him, because okay, maybe you could have read that play quicker, but it is what it is. But Hamilton's also too far in to cover the deep routes. So Hamilton on this play is covering neither option. The throw is going to go deep where Hamilton isn't. So if you're a safety, that's a play that you don't want to ever have on your tape. It was still knocked away. It was a good defensive play, but not by Hamilton. And that's kind of, the first thing that jumped out at me. That's not great. Also something like this, a big thing that I look for with some of these guys, is how do you, what happens on play action. I think that can be very notable, because a lot of times guys get some highlight reel level plays by their ability to stop the run, but part of why they do that is they cheat. They just run in very early, which causes them to get beat on play action. And listen, I'm not saying that's what happened to Kyle Hamilton, because again, I've only watched one game. This is my reaction of his one game. But I saw this in this one game. It's man coverage, and you see Hamilton and where he's supposed to cover, just the middle of the field area. However, right when this play begins, there's a play action, and then the quarterback rolls out, and look at how far Hamilton goes over trying to stop a potential quarterback run. If it's a quarterback run, you have the numbers there. He's not going to be able to run and get the touchdown. You have to trust your teammates, and he's leaving the middle area of the field where he's supposed to be covering completely open, because there's basically now just no safety on the play. Ridder makes the throw, and they're able to get a touchdown. So a rookie mistake, we'll call it, right? Again, I want to be very clear in all of this. I'm not crushing him because I think that he sucks. Because again, I haven't seen that much of his tape, but what I saw in this game was just not good. Something like this is another one. And while I'm talking about this game was not good, it was the worst graded game according to PFF he had of the 2021 season. He didn't play too much, only 6 games. This was the worst of those, but he had some other games in previous years that were around that poor. And actually, I take that back. This was the second worst. The Toledo game was even worse. So there you go. But anyways, this play, what's going to happen is it's man coverage. And quite frankly, I saw him really struggle in man coverage going up against wide receivers, which in fairness, that is a bit of a mismatch. But if you're a college level safety who's supposed to be this superstar safety, I want you to at least be able to hold your own against college level wide receivers, right? Especially one, let's be honest, safeties are going to still be covering wide receivers at times at the NFL level. Yes, it's a mismatch, but if you're struggling against college guys, you're really going to struggle against Cooper Kupp when he plays the slot. Watch how right when this play begins, Hamilton tries to create contact, which makes sense. He's 6'4", so obviously using that big length to create contact is what he wants to do. But he didn't create a contact, and look how there is separation right here. The ball doesn't come his way, but if it did, it's probably a touchdown. Instead, the ball goes to someone who is much more open, so there you go. but still, it's kind of one of those not the best play from Kyle Hamilton, and you don't necessarily love to see it. And we can talk about the 40 time if you want to. I don't really care about 40 time that much for safety, but I do think it matters, especially on a play like this. So, Hamilton's 40 time was not great, and there tends to be a cutoff of like, you want to break 4.6. That seems to be, from the data I've seen, that's the cutoff you want to get to, and something like this can be where you can see how a bad 40 time can have some issues. What I keep hearing people say is, well, who cares about the bad 40 time? His tape is fantastic. Well, it wasn't in this game. You see a one-on-one matchup right there. I've highlighted it right here, and watch what happens. I mean, look at how Kyle Hamilton, again, doesn't slow down the receiver at all, and look at just how much separation happened right there, and that was due to speed, right? I mean, speed played a huge role in that. So, again, there's little reasons to be concerned about this from what I've seen on film. Something like this is another one. Again, going up against wide receiver, I get it, and it looks like a speedy wide receiver, so I get it, but you're going to have to go up against, like, the tight ends in the NFL are fast, right? And again, right, when you see this clean release, you see that Hamilton is vastly struggling to keep up. He's going to have to basically play the rest of this play blind. He cannot turn his head back, because if he does, he risks getting completely out of position. So he has to basically play the receiver right now, which is not a great situation. This ball gets thrown up correctly, and even though it's a bit underthrown, the receiver is able to adjust and make the grab. Hamilton could not, because he was having his back turned. So things like that are not ideal, and that's something that you do start to wonder, okay, that's not great. Finally, something like this is kind of similar to what I talked about earlier, where he was making some mistakes in coverage. This one was a bad one, and this is really what I'm talking about when I say there were some mistakes that he made. So if you're not going to be the physical tools guy of, like, not the fastest, and again, the 40 time is weird, right? I mean, I don't know how much. I just don't know how much to pay attention to that, because clearly he just didn't know how to, he's not a track guy. Like, you could see that when he ran it, he was wobbling and stuff, which made it look worse. There's no denying that. But stuff like this, I think, is concerning. It's man coverage, and you see where Hamilton is. I've circled him in white. There's also an arrow pointing to him. That's just what the cut up I have of the all 22. They just did that on usually Hamilton and then occasionally some other players. So anyways, I'm working with what I have. But you see right when this play begins, so the two receivers are crossed like that, and sometimes what you'll do here is just switch. Sometimes you won't, but they know what they're going to do. You would at least hope. And so this could be a miscommunication thing. So if they both end up on the same receiver, you might say, well, maybe Hamilton did the right thing, or maybe that was a coaching issue. And I would agree. However, Hamilton goes in the complete opposite direction of both of them. The quarterback was already rolling out to the other side of the field, so it didn't matter. But again, not a great play, and these are all from one game, and there really wasn't much good from this game either. That's my other concern, is that, if he was making these mistakes, but, for example, Micah Parsons made a lot of mistakes in coverage in college, but also made these splash plays. So I was like, yeah, who cares? And maybe that's what Hamilton did, and just this was a bad game for him, which is why I wanted to make this video in the first place. Get my initial thoughts out there, hear what you guys have to say about it, so that way when I kind of get to know more about him and make my whole bigger video about Hamilton, who is this very interesting prospect in my opinion, I can include some of your voices in this as well, and some of your thoughts in this as well, which I think could be cool. So I'll definitely be reading the comments closely in this one, so let me know what you think. I might even, if you have a good point, I might even mention it in my full video, so definitely do that, because I always love hearing from you, and of course, as always, thanks for watching.